Good morning, everybody. I hope you are having a good time at home. But as I told you earlier, that we will continue with our studies, with our classes. Unless we do that, we will not be able to finish our course and the examination will be held in due time. So I would suggest that you take these video classes, online classes, seriously, so that you can prepare yourself for the timely execution of the exams. Now, today I was thinking that I had talked about typography in scattered ways, but I would like to have it discussed, especially its importance of typography in design and in editing, so that you take this particular subject very seriously. You will see that I have given you some photographs of the pages from two books. One is called the Letter Art. It's a 200-page book, which, each page has a description of the different typefaces and the point sizes of those typefaces, how it looks. It gives an idea of how you should conceive these use of typefaces. Now, I have given you two pages. I'm sorry. All the pages are not in sequence. You will need to, sequence them according to your understanding. I have given you one page on Helvetica and one page on the other group, meaning I think the other serif font. Just find out. I think the Clarendon. Yes, Clarendon is the other font which I've given you. I have told you there are two major groups in typography. One is a serif font. The example is the Clarendon font, which I've told you that these Clarendon fonts, they have a kind of an end. End. It moves out, edges out at the end of the letter, whereas the Helvetica, for example, which is a non-serif font, which is smooth, which doesn't have any edges at the end of the letters. So these are basically, I've told you also that they have psychological impacts. These points, these edges that we, when we find in these letters, they are more formal in their presentation, whereas those letters which do not have edges, they are a little bit informal. So Helvetica, to some extent, is an informal font, whereas the Clarendon font is a formal font. So you need to understand these two big differences of choosing a font. Usually, we stick to one kind of font in the text. I've told you in the text it's fixed to say 12 points or 11 points, the text. But usually we change the font sizes in the headings, and that is where which is important. What is to understand the sizes of the fonts, how big it can be, and that is where we need to understand a little bit about the size of the font. And this size of the font is measured by, and here I have used another book. You will see that the book is named. It's a very important book for people in the printing press, also for editors. The Brown's Index. You'll see I've given you the cover. Brown's Index to photo composition typography. Need to understand this a little bit, and I've taken 2 or 3 pages from that book also, showing how how to measure these fonts. I have given you the definition of the point size. If you look at the point size, you will find that it clarifies what do you mean by point. And another term I have used, which is called pica. These two words are important for you to understand. Why? Because point size, as I told you, has been defined as there are two methods. There is an Anglo-American point size, and then Detroit point size, which is the European point size, and they are more or less the same. It measures 3.513, that is the Anglo-American point size, whereas the Detroit point size is 0.376 millimeters. So this is the unit, or the smallest size of the points. And as I've told you in the pica, if you come to the definition of the pica, I've given you that size also, that definition there also. You'll see they have shown, say, if it is a 1 inch, they have measured the 1 inch, and in 1 inch it has shown that you can have 72 points. I mean, 72 points put one after another makes 1 inch of space. So you can approximate that 1 inch space will have a letter of 72 points. Now, again, the pica is basically said that 6 pica it is equivalent to 1 inch or 72 points. Remember that it is. You might say that it is becoming a little bit complicated, but you need to understand a little of the technicalities of this point size, because you have already visited a printing press, and if you have to interact, and the newspaper person has to interact with the printing people also, they understand these sizes. What is the pica size? You will have to talk in terms of what is the pica size of your font. So you need to understand, take a little bit of a time and try to understand what pica means. The definition is there, and what point size means. And then, go back to your different fonts, which in your computer, you know that on the left-hand corner, you have a long list of, the different fonts, but try to stick to the general fonts which are used for the printing purposes or for the newspapers. Usually you take Times Roman. Then the Helvetica is also one of these major common points. Clarendon is a common point. So you just have a look at that list, and you will understand how different or how various these point sizes are. And the page which I've given you from Letterart, the Helvetica, for example, if you look at the page, you will see how it looks in the if you look at Helvetica, the page that is on Helvetica, you will find it's the size of E, for example. It is how many points? It is 84 points. And then small a, 84 points, you have seen the A. Then E1 is 72 points smaller. And try to understand the sizes that these letters take. 72 points is that big. Come to a smaller point, say 48 points, 42 points of E. So you see what the size is. You should approximately be able to understand how much space is there when you are making the newspaper, how much space is there, and that's the size of point you will have to choose when you are filling up those space. So it's important that you understand, have an approximation of the sizes, the kinds of fonts, the different kinds of fonts, whether they are serif fonts or non-serif fonts. Usually, the newspapers are non-serif fonts, and sometimes also there is a question of the numerals, the numbers. I've given you a page also of how the numbers, how big the numbers. I've given you a numerical space which is almost which is almost 98 or 100 points of size. So these are things which you have to understand: the sizes of the fonts, the sizes of the numbers or the numericals, and the space it takes. So you can't squeeze, say, 100-point number, say number 10, into a space which just will allow 1 inch of space, which 1 inch of space will allow a 72-point point size of the letter. So these are some of the measurements, the concepts of measurements which any editor will have. From you are learning at the basic point, at the basics. So for this, you need to read a little bit about the typographic aspect. I have given you some of the pages. Look at those pages carefully, and if you have any questions, please ask. Okay? Thank you.